All right, good evening. This is Lynx, and it is evening here in California. Every time I do a video like this, people seem to respond very well. So, one of the most interesting things that divination affords you is the ability to look in a situation and see it from another perspective. I'm not going to be so arrogant as to say and see it for what it really, what it is, because sometimes the diviner is limited by their experience. So you see it from another perspective. Okay, this isn't the be-all, end-all omniscient. It gives another perspective and some advice. One thing it does do really well, and I did this in a video, I don't know, a year ago or something, where I showed you guys how to look at what was in the, how to see a relationship for what was really going on. There's what they show you is going on in the relationship, but then there's the other side. So it's I don't know, it's quite a ways back. It's like maybe a year or two ago. When you start using this stuff, one of the interesting things that you start to learn is that you are being lied to so often. What you think is going on, and what we think is going on, and what is really going on are two different things. It's like the social media syndrome. You see these people and they look like they have a certain kind of relationship, but then you like see what's happening behind the scenes and it's not. Or I used to think about this when I was in college all the time. They tell you in the course catalog what a class was supposed to be, and you get all excited about the class, and then you take it, and then you look back at the catalog and you're like, is this, what does this have to do with what you said? So they describe it in such a way, and you're like, oh my God, this class is going to be so great, and I'm going to learn all this stuff. And then you sit there and you're listening to these boring people who are droning on, who like every shred of passion is been drained from them, and you're listening to their angst and despair disguised as a lecture. But the course catalog made it sound like it was this vibrant, exciting course, right? Those of you who do this, what I encourage you to do is to start asking what you're being lied about. So, what's the biggest lie right now in my life that I'm believing? Start there. So you could say, hey, what's the biggest lie in life? What's the biggest lie in life that I'm believing right now? And then you start to look for that in your life, right? And what you're seeing on television, what you're seeing on social media, what you're seeing and being taught in the schools, what you're being told in medicine, what you're being told in politics, all of it is a lie. And I'm telling you, if you start to use this stuff and start to ask what's really going on. The reason I'm doing this video is because my clients, people who write me, all day long I meet people who are stressed out by trying to live up to some lie that's being fed to them. Their whole lives are built around trying to live up to some lie that's being fed to them. Well, we can't have alternative energy. You can only have fossil fuels. Well, you have to have this kind of medicine because there's no other kind of medicine. Well, you have to live this kind of life and have this kind of job because what is you going to do? You got to have a job and it's got to have... And you are being lied to. And you are conforming to and stressing yourself out and putting all this stuff on top of you. And I guarantee you, everything we've ever been told is a lie. When you start to look at this stuff, and you start to go, well, what's really going on under the surface? So think about it this way. What lies have you been told about relationships? What lies have you been told about your health? What lies have you been told about the way you're supposed to conform to your life? We are told all these lies that we try to live up to. And it's being shaped daily. It's in the stories, it's in the books, it's in the movies, it's in the education, it's in the religion, and they're all telling us this is the way it's supposed to be. And we buy this reality and then we try to live to it. And it creates all this stress, and it creates all this confusion, and it creates all this stuff that's on your shoulders. And then you go, what's the first thing that's on my shoulders? And that's the tower. That's the card of lies falling apart. The kind of person you're supposed to be. What defines being a good person? What you should be aware of, and what you shouldn't be aware of. The nature of change, and how easy or hard it is to change. What you should do for a living. What the nature of power is and education. The history of the world and how we've come into being. I mean, you can go through a deck. The knowledge that has been fed to us is true. You can start to ask, what lies have I been told? You can start to lie them up. You start to break them apart, and you can start to say, what stress is this putting on me? The devil. It's kind of weird that came up, huh? Because the devil is all about those things that we're chained to that aren't necessarily true. The fact is that social pressure is getting us, whether we think we are or not. And the first people who want to respond to this video with, well, that's why I don't have any social pressure. The social pressure of trying to prove that you've got it all together is the lie that you're being told. And the lie that you're believing. So start to ask yourself, what are the biggest lies that I'm being told? What are the biggest lies that I'm believing? Are you believing lies about relationships, about the way your life should be structured, about the way your career should be structured, about the way you should be living, about the way you should raise your children, about the way you should care for your children medically, about the way you should care for your children by education, about the way you should educate yourself? Oh, well, you better go back to school. It's like you get out of school, and then they immediately say, well, have you thought about going back to school? Why? What's the lie we're being told there? About who's running things, about what's behind things. You can start to ask all those questions and see what you get. And then ask yourself, what is this doing? What is this lie doing to me? How do I free myself from it? Now, those of you who don't do readings, those of you who get readings, and you go to a reader, ask, I want to look at what lies that are holding me back. I want to look at what area of my life the biggest lies are happening in, what those lies are, and how I've structured my life around, and how I'm chaining myself to it. I'm telling you, what we think is really going on in the world and what we aren't. I mean, it's shocking what we believe. Everything from the way that celebrities are living, to the way that politicians are living, to the way that we should be living, to the way that, to the things that they say are possible and aren't possible in technology, to the things that science is telling us are possible or not possible. It's all, once you start looking at this, you can start to see there's lots of lies going on. What are the big lies that are holding you back? And the big question, how much stress, how much tension, how much is that affecting your health, your well-being, your mind? And how is that, like, taking your life from you? Because when we believe this stuff, when we invest our energy in these lies, it sort of steals our life. Because we're investing in something that, you know, well, I mean, how many times in your life have you said, well, I spent my whole life, I spent all this time trying to do this, and then I found out that wasn't even true? Well, you have the tools. Start to look at them. And those of you who get readings or want a reading and you want to find out what the lies are, contact me. We'll find out. We'll start to ask some really important questions, and you can start to see how those lies may be weighing on you. I'm Lucky Links, as always, wishing you success and good fortune in all that you do. 779-302-8009 or conjurehope@gmail.com. If you'd like to schedule a reading with me, we can do it via phone or chat or Skype. Also, I have quite a few virtual classes going on right now. A tarot class, a Lenormand class, a Mexican Loteria class I just started today, a crystal ball reading class, and I'm even going to be doing a Grand Tableau class, and a playing card divination class. And if you'd like to take any one of these classes and in it start to focus on what the lies are, well, I can tailor your experience in the class to that. So contact me if you'd like to take any of those classes, or if you'd like to schedule a reading. Otherwise, start to ask your cards or your psychic, whoever your psychic is, what are the lies that are holding me back? What am I believing that isn't true? What are the lies that I'm believing that are wasting and drawing the energy from my life? And you guys, once you start to see that, there's no going back after that. But the good news is that you're closer to actually freeing yourself from those lies. If you don't know what they are, you can't free yourself from them.